Considering my channel largely handles scary movie reviews and survival horror live streams, you wouldn't know it at first glance, but every once in a blue, whenever my schedule allows for it, I've also covered horror theme parks as well. Once upon a Halloween 2021, I gave my impressions having attended not one, but 3 separate attractions in the Los Angeles area, which just so happens to have been my last vacation. Well, it just so happens that for 2024, not only are we shifting gears and changing venues from Sunnyside, California to Sunshine State, Florida, but the previous theme park postmortems were appraisals after I attended them. Now, normally I wouldn't do a preview for just any old attraction, but it just so happens that this particular announcement isn't just a reveal, but also a revival. Universal Studios, the home of Halloween Horror Nights, recently unveiled their first look at their upcoming project, The Dark Universe.
It's a cookbook! It's a cookbook!
Listen to me. Your crew is in complete control of the situation.
Wait! It's an amusement park, not a doomed Marvel ripoff franchise. Okay, allow me to explain. Look, we all know that Universal Studios attempt to relaunch their classic movie monsters into a superhero-style, cinematic, shared universe, all the buzzwords, that went belly up and had more false starts than you can count. But fortunately, I did. Believe me, I know. I did an entire week-long 4-chapter series on the doomed universe. Square peg, round hole. That ain't the reason we're gathered here today. No. Instead, Universal Studios has not only set its sights on its theme park, but has brought a few familiar friends along for the ride. Yes, horror fans, the studio that first popularized the horror genre nearly a full century ago has placed its focus on dedicating one of its upcoming 5 immersive worlds to its library of Gothic Forefathers. How about we let the mad scientists do the talking? How does a walk in the park sound?
As our guests approach the portal, there's a spire that's crackling with electricity. This is how the dark energy is gathered.
A literal lightning rod. That is awesome as the first sight that guests see upon arrival. The needle structure is reminiscent of Disney's Magic Kingdom.
And we're going to see the electricity pulsating through the land.
I am curious if you'll actually see lightning throughout this attraction that leads all the way to the castle, like fear coursing through your veins.
And connecting at the top of this manor.
Man, that is classic Frankenstein, and honestly classic horror, to depict lightning infusing a castle. Even if you're not promised a dark and stormy night, they've managed to trap lightning in a building. Again, I'm enamored with the concept of the Frankenstein Manor as the focal point of this theme park, like the Eye of Saruman looming in the distance. We start our tour guide in Dark Moor. For an era of horror that hinged on practical effects, how great is it that kids and families get to sit in the makeup chair to become their favorite monsters? A village is the pitch-perfect hub for this immersive setting and brings with it some of that old-world charm you would see out of a superstitious settlement terrorized by a lunar beast, or held in the death grip of a local count, or a community recoiled in fear at the experiments of an evil genius.
Das Steakhouse is a restaurant that's operated by the familiars of vampires.
Das Steakhouse. Oh my god. Oh man. I love it. Not only does the German appeal tie back to one of the settings in Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
You're putting me on.
But let's be honest, German is just a funny language to hear out loud.
English.
Deutsch.
Borboleta.
Butterfly.
Schmetterling.
Hospital.
Hospital.
Krankenhaus.
Ambulância.
Ambulance.
Krankenwagen.
Ciência.
Science.
Naturwissenschaft.
Batata.
Potato.
Kartoffel.
Avião.
Airplane.
Flugzeug.
And then you add in that it's a restaurant run by vampire familiars. Brilliant! That is hysterical! If this is run by humans in the employ of vampires, you absolutely have to have the waitstaff ask their patrons, how do you like your steak? Steak house, get it? It works on so many levels.
We will have steaks on steaks.
Curse of the Werewolf follows the same story arc as our classic film, The Wolfman.
Ah, man, it's attractions like this where you can tell attention to detail has really been paid to this endeavor. I've always thought that the gypsies are such a cool and yet untapped resource to the werewolf and Universal Monsters lore.
Take the cross. Its holy love will shield you from the lurking danger.
So I love that they get their own district. Plus, it gives that carnival feel, and what is a theme park if not a giant circus? It's almost a shame that attending means getting the bad news that you bear the mark of the werewolf. Almost. And if that diagnosis from a medieval witch doctor ain't bad enough, wait until you see the bill that your insurance doesn't cover.
Thank you.
You gotta love that their recommendation is to send you on a spinning coaster headed straight to the forest. So basically their remedy is immediate quarantine to the forest and no second opinion. Quality healthcare. Oh, and your forest exile is paired with a race to escape the pursuing werewolves. So...
I can't wait.
The Burning Windmill is a classic part of Universal Monster lore.
The Burning Blade Tavern. Man, I'm trying to tell you, the Frankenstein Windmill is about as iconic as it gets for the black and white monster movies.
And so when we created the Dark Universe, we knew that we had to create a Burning Windmill.
It just so happens that this pub is the favorite haunt of the Hounds, the monster hunters of Darkmoor.
The Hounds are the monster hunters. You'll hear some tales, and their trophies are scattered about.
As such, not only are you treated to stories of their poachings, but they've got the trophies of their hunts to back up their tales with the heads of their prey mounted on the walls. Oh, and periodically, the blades of the windmill burst into flames like that dragon at Hogwarts.
There's the windmill, right in front of you, and suddenly it bursts into flames.
Boss.
Monsters Unchained is going to be the most amazing monster ride ever built.
We've never opened these doors to Frankenstein Manor.
At Frankenstein Manor, it turns out that Victoria Frankenstein, a distant descendant of the Good Doctor, has taken up the family business. She's managed to capture all the Universal monsters to control them, but Dracula has other plans. The thought of a prison for the monsters is an inspired choice, as it reacquaints fans with that other signature Gothic staple, the dungeon. It seems guests will find themselves in the midst of the captives staging a prison break, and you're trapped inside with the monsters.
You're going to see things that defy what you know of as a theme park attraction.
DeLacy's Cottage. The DeLacy Cottage is a food stand where the Frankenstein monster was previously given shelter by a blind hermit, but where you now can indulge in their snack bar. I really hope they eventually add an Egyptian wing. Come on, as if the Mummy 1999 isn't the lone success story that the studio has enjoyed literally in the last quarter century. With the Brendan Fraser movie turning 25 this year, people gather in droves to this day to ride the Mummy roller coaster. Imagine a Gilman aquarium, a Phantom of the Opera theater house showing all of the black and white classics, a Dr. Jekyll wine and spirits, a Wolfman petting zoo. Okay. This was the family-friendly portrayal of the Universal monsters that works as a theme park that never would have worked as a film franchise.
We're creating entertainment for families, and we're creating entertainment for those who want to conquer their fears.
They are powerful, they are intense.
But we can also be PG-13.
Nowadays, we have no shortage of bad news when it comes to the genre. But this here is not only a welcome surprise, it genuinely is a cause for celebration. Pack your bags, horror fans, because we've got a rendezvous with nostalgia coming to a thrill ride near you in 2025 at Universal Studios Orlando. I've been your travel agent, Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends.